Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and a huge welcome to all lovely ladies here. I'm Payal, your host for today. On Women's Day, I thought to bring these six wonderful ladies who have been very successful in their career together to hear from them their views on topics relevant to women empowerment. First of all, I would want to wish all of you here a happy Women's Day and more power to us. I would now request all you amazing women for a quick round of introduction before we start. Should we should we start with you, Dr. Nilofer Kristen?
Sure, I can start. No problem at all. I would have loved to hear what Lavinia had to say, but I'm sure she'll be back shortly. So, quick intro on me. I am Nilofer Christensen. I currently live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, though I am Australian by identity, Indian by heritage. I grew up in Australia. I've been living in the Netherlands for the last 7 years. I currently run my own tech startup called Swap Studio, which was started about a bit over a year ago. And it's in the circular economy, circular fashion space. I've been in tech majority of my career, either working in senior product management at a big tech company or working in senior management at startups and scale ups. So I've sort of been in the entrepreneurial slash tech world for majority of my career. I'm also a mom of two young kids, so apologies if you hear them in the background. It is a Saturday and they're running around expecting a lot of attention. So I'll mute myself now and over to whoever's next.
Sangeeta?
Sure. Myself, Sangeeta Day. I'm the founder of Your Mocha. We help scale every product management leader's career globally. After having a decade of experience in tech and product and a lot of leadership experience in fintech and payments, one thing I realize is recruitment, especially on the leadership role, is really broken and it takes a lot of time. And I identified that problem and chose it to solve. And I quit my job and then started Your Mocha. It's been more than 1 year now. It's been very happening, a lot of challenges, but we are making great progress, and so the journey is still going on. So
What
that's
about
all.
you, V?
Yeah, she'll keep calling me Dee because we go back to school. Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka Ganguly. Actually, in total 27 of years of experience in the corporate world, and finally decided that it's high time I call it quits and start a setup of my own. So very fresh with the herbal alternative medicines under a brand name of Urban Pulse Herbaceuticals. So yes, I've joined the list of women entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Let's go with you, Virginia.
Yeah, hi. I'm a technology business leader and I'm passionate about diversity and inclusion in innovation. What I love is understanding the problem behind a problem and then solve it by experimenting, iterating, and making it better based on data and feedback loop. Um, I have 20 years of international experience in Paris, UK, and now in Singapore. And what I love doing is also inspiring cross-functional teams and organizations to be brave and transform their business. I'm currently a customer success executive and an active member of Women at Microsoft APAC.
Let's hear from you, Zainab.
Hi everyone, my name is Zainab. I'm originally from Iran and it's been more than 3 years that I live in the Netherlands. Before that, I was living in France. I was doing my PhD in computer science. And after finishing my PhD, I joined as a senior data scientist. I joined TomTom. And beginning of this year, I actually now working as a data scientist in ASML. It's a semiconductor company somewhere in Eindhoven. And I have a background in mathematics. I've been like a kind of nerd the whole my whole adult life. I have recently became a mom. I have an almost 9 months old daughter, and yeah, she's struggling to sleep now. and I have like some free time to spend with you guys. And happy to be here.
Thank you all. I think Lavinia is having some connectivity issues, but I think we'll keep the ball rolling. And the structure of today's discussion would see me asking same questions to all my panelists and appreciate the differences in the answers that have been shaped by their unique life experiences. So let's just jump into the discussion. I would start by saying to all who are watching this, never doubt that you're valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams. Let me start with my first question to Nilufer here. Tell me, what does power mean to you?
It's a very powerful question, because I think power probably means very different things to a lot of us here. For me, power has meant the ability to make decisions that impact not only my life but the lives of those around me. And as the superhero saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. I think it's very, very true. Because with that power also comes the ability to affect change and actually to take action. And I think we all have a responsibility. For those of us who have the power to make decisions and to take action, we have the responsibility to do that for those that don't have that power. And I think all of us in this panel certainly have proven our ability to take big risks and make big decisions and try to do things that impact the lives of not just ours, but those around us. And that's incredible to see. And to me, that's what power means. Making decisions and taking action, especially on behalf of those who can't.
Yeah, that's a great thought, Nilu. Yeah, I do relate to all what you're saying. Let's hear what Sangeeta has to say about it.
Yeah, and I think Nilofer pointed out correctly, like power brings a lot of responsibility, and it's also a privilege of how you can impact someone else's life positively. So I think also with power, you need to have a little bit of selflessness and think a bigger picture, how what change and what problem you can solve and make decisions which can impact to the broader audience in a positive direction. So that's what power means to me.
Great. What are your thoughts, Virginie?
It's quite simple. For me, it means freedom to influence a better and more inclusive outcome. And it also means that you can remove roadblock for your team, for your family, for whoever is in your circle.
Yes. Priyanka Di, what are your thoughts?
I think I'll take feather out of all the three answers given. For me, power also means that I stand by what once I have decided. So, yes, I had the right to choose, I had the right to think about, I become the voice of the others, but the most important responsibility of mine will be that I don't change on whatever I've decided. So, power for me means that I stand by what I have taken a decision, I stand by my thoughts, I stand by my action, and I'm equally responsible for it. So I can't say that, yes, I had the power to make the difference, but the outcome is not in my hands. Absolutely not. I am also equally responsible for taking the ownership of the outcome. So for power for me is ownership.
Yeah, it's wonderfully put together. Zana, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, hearing what power means to all of you, I think we are describing the same thing from different angles. For me, power means do not give up easily. If you see obstacle, if you see discriminations, if you see inequality, don't just take a step back and say I can't do it. I think power to me is to make baby steps even for everyone that they were doing everything basically. It shouldn't be like something big, it shouldn't be have a big influence. Even if you are making a small decision to overcome something that it's in your way, and it can be obstacle for you, but it can be nothing for someone else, but for you it's an obstacle, and if you overcome this, for me it means power. It means you don't give up easily and you see a big picture and you keep going.
So just keep going to the path you've probably, seen for yourself. That's what power
Indeed.
means to you.
Yeah.
Great. We have all these wonderful answers. The quality I admire in women are confidence and kindness. And I really want to know from all of you too, which women do you admire the most and why? Let's go with your thoughts, Sangeeta.
So, I think there are so many great leaders and women leaders in business and politics, but it's difficult to say one person who is inspiring you completely. But if we go back to our Indian history, then I think Indira Gandhi is one that would definitely we can put, like, you can admire. The reason I think she's very admirable is because of the time frame of the when she was the prime minister, and the certain decision that she made was very bold at that time frame, and even a lot of male prime ministers at that time could not take those hard decisions, and she, being a woman, was very confident enough to take those decisions and made a great move. So yeah, that's why I think, like, if I go back to Indian history, I'll take Indira Gandhi. But then if we look back into, there are so many other women who are very influential. If you go to science, I think Madame Curie has done phenomenal work with chemistry, right? If you go for women entrepreneurship, I think Indira Nooyi is one of the fabulous one. So there are so many people that we can get inspired of, but if you want me to name one, I will go with Indira Gandhi.
Thanks, Sangeeta. We have Lavinia back. Would you want to have a small introduction about you?
Just let me see if I can even be heard.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. Hi, I'm Lavinia, Lavinia Tanapathy. I am a LinkedIn expert. I am a change champion, and I am the founding chair of Inspiring Girls in Singapore. I have worked in the field of women and women empowerment for some time, and I'm based here in Berlin, Germany. I'm originally from Singapore.
Thanks, Lavinia. And I think we were just going over the questions where everybody has an answer to. And I would want to ask you the same question. What does power mean to you?
What does general power mean? Sorry, I didn't understand the question at all.
So what does power mean to you? When I say, a power or authority, what does it mean to you as a woman?
That's an interesting question. I think power is when we have control over what we can do with our lives. I think that's where a lot of the issues around women and girls lies. It's that we don't often have as much control over our outcomes, and this is something that I think we're at a disadvantage, a balance in power exists still in the world.
Which women do you admire the most, if I may ask, and why? Or it could be many women, but yes. And what do you admire most? And
so I live here in Germany, so it's a very obvious answer for me here. Angela Merkel has been an amazing world leader, and she has led in her own style for a very long time. In fact, most of my children, until last year, did not even know there was a male word for Kanzler, because in German it's gendered language. So Kanzlerin means a female chancellor, and so they only knew Kanzlerin. It's only recently that they learned that a man could possibly have that job. So it's been an interesting experience having her as the leader of Germany for so long. So yes, Angela Merkel.
Thanks for answering that. Nilofer, I would want to ask you the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are two brilliant answers with Indira Gandhi and Angela Merkel. On the same vein, there's Jacinta Ardern as well, who I think has done a brilliant job in New Zealand. But I think I will look a little bit closer to home, because I've been thinking about this question actually. And to be honest, I would say, as cliched as this sounds, it's my mum. And it could be because of COVID, I actually haven't seen her in 2 years, and I miss her a lot. But it's my mum, to be honest. And I know you said the two qualities you admire: confidence and kindness. I'll be honest, my mum is not confident at all. So my mum has very little self-confidence, to be honest, but she is incredibly kind. And as Sangeeta says, she is incredibly selfless. And she has shown incredible power in the terms of taking baby steps to improve the lives of us kids, even though we ended up then leaving and moving halfway across the world. But I think my mum, being very powerless growing up, even with her family life, she didn't have a lot of control over her own destiny, but somehow took baby steps and created so much opportunity and such a better world for her kids, me and my brother, that now we can go out and have an even bigger impact on the world. And so I would say, actually, there's a lot of big personalities I admire, of course, but I think the person who has given me the foundation to live the life that I have always dreamed of is my mum. And the power I have today, majority of that, I would say, is because of her. Hi, Mum.
Priyanka, who do you look up to when I say the most?
I think my answer would be very similar to Nilofer, and the reason I choose my mother is because she's been a simple 10th standard pass out, and with no further education. She ensured all three of us. It was me, my younger sister, and my brother. She surprised us all, especially when it came to we sisters. She gave us more confidence. And Payal, you are aware of what happened last year, right? So the COVID second wave took away my younger sister and my brother in a span of 5 days. So it was a situation which I think was very devastating. But she's a fireball. She's a courageous, and I look up to her every day, every moment, and I think I have not seen a much stronger woman than her. In terms of emotions, in terms of a go-getter. She's there. She's just there, and I keep telling her. I joke about it at the time. Every morning when I speak to her, I'm telling her that you will at least have to live for 20 next year, because so that I get the confidence to be at least 1% of what she is. I think I love her to the core. She's the reason why I am where I am, from a small town way back in Bihar. I don't know, half of the people, you must not even have heard of that city. So ensuring that from no school to a boarding school, to letting us be, giving me all the freedom, giving us all sisters all the freedom, I think she's been a fireball and epitome. I call her the epitome of strength. So for me, she is the symbol of power. For me, she is the symbol of a woman who I admire the most. So thank you. I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Virginie, what are your thoughts?
Wow, how do you come back from that? Sangeeta actually named the woman I admire the most. I'll just tell you why. Marie Curie, she was a Polish immigrant in France more than 100 years ago, and a scientist, right? She was married to Pierre Curie, and she really had to fight so much to be accepted in that community and not just be seen as Pierre's wife. And I admire her for her genius, right? That has been recognized with her being the only person winning 2 Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry. So I'm just, explaining why she's my person. If I can name another one, it's a lady called Simone Veil, and she's a survivor from the Nazi camp when she was a teenager, and she went on to study and serve France. She's the woman who led the law legalizing abortion in the 70s, as one of the few female ministers at that time. And I'm super proud because she is the first and only woman at the Pantheon, which is where the French people celebrate the great men in the country, and it's based in Paris. So it's like the only woman recognized as a great man for the nation, and she served the nation so much.
Thanks for the lovely answer. Zainab, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, hearing Priyanka and Nilofer, how they're talking about their mom, it actually hit me that I have a great opportunity to be the same for my daughter. You know, it is really it just excites me that I can be that, and my daughter, like 20 years from now, can talk about me like Nilofer and Priyanka did. For me, actually, I was so lucky that I think I met several women, like very powerful, strong women, during my studies, during my career. Even I know a lot. When I heard about this question, I was just thinking about it, and I just thought, yeah, I have so many examples that I can take every piece from all of these women that I had the opportunity to meet. But if I wanted to just give an answer, is that yeah, I'm not looking up just for one. I really admire all the girls and women who are living back in my country, in Iran. There are lots of, you can't imagine that how inequality there actually looks like, and they have the courage, they have the power to wake up every day, try to overcome all those obstacles, all those inequality, and make a life and become a great person. I really admire all those girls and women back in my country, including my friends, my sister, my mother. And I have actually been there once. When you live in this such a society, you sometimes you get used to this discrimination and inequality that you don't realize that they exist. But when you just take a step back and look at how it looks like, you see, they're really they are my heroes, that they are surviving in this situation, and they don't give up. And I think they are so strong that every day they go to work, they fight, and yeah, I'm so proud of them.
Yeah. So what I feel is the strongest action for a woman is to love herself, be herself, and shine amongst those who never believed she could. When you live for a strong purpose, then hard work isn't an option, it's a necessity. The action or a decision you're most proud of. So I would want to hear from Priyanka Di, what was that action or a decision you're most proud of?
I think, Payal, I always tell this to every session or every conversation I've had, that actually I'm very proud of the schooling I went to, right? And I think I have a very lesser role to play in that because it was done by my parents. But I guess, that schooling, and from an age of 13, or rather age of 14, it groomed me the person I am. So whether it is my social work today, people keep asking me that one only has 24 hours in a day. How do you manage being a mother? How have you managed being a corporate worker? Because corporate people who are working there, they know, especially in India, there is nothing called as a timeline. So you can have a boss calling you at 8 o'clock in the evening expecting you to answer the call. So I think, yes, the schooling and the value system, which was, while me and you were discussing before we got on to the talk, to the conversation, that I'm very proud of the value system which has been inculcated, and probably that gives me the courage today to stand by every decision I take in life. So whether it is being the kind of employee I have been, I have spent about 14 years in real estate, and I don't know if you know real estate about India. So it's a completely man's dominated career, right? So I've been heading sales for a real estate company. So it's been very difficult. But I think the value system which I grew up with, so I'm very proud of the value system which I've grown up with, and that has actually enabled me to take decisions which I have stuck by. But I got the strength to be standing with the decision. It has been different at times. It has been difficult at times. But yes, I'm very proud of the value system I grew up with in terms of my schooling as well as the family, the value system. So I'm very proud of the value system, which differentiates me in this difficult world. So while that would be, I'm very proud of the value system. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dee. Lavinia, if I ask you the same question, what is a decision or actions you're most proud of?
Thank you. So I have 5 children, 2 daughters and 3 sons, and so a lot of the decisions that I make, sometimes I ask myself whether I would give that same advice to my children. And one of the things I did recently was leave a very good job to start on my own, and I did that just before the pandemic. And I remember thinking about it very closely and discussing it with my family. Then I thought, you know what? If I don't model courage, then I can't teach this to my children. So it was really important that even though financially it was a very big decision, it was it impacted the family in many ways. It was a decision I still am very proud of, even though it was very hard, especially since the pandemic came immediately after. And that meant that a lot of the business that I lined up, it disappeared overnight. It's all coming back, but it's taken some time. And we've talked to our children about this, what it means to be courageous. And sometimes courage is not something we can quantify or teach from other stories. And sometimes we have to live them for ourselves. So that was one of the big things that I think I'm still very proud of. And I think my children are proud of me for that. And those of you who have adult children, it's actually really hard to get adult children to feel proud of you. So your little kids will be proud of you no matter what you do. You can wear a nice lipstick and suddenly you're like princess. But when you have adult children, it's much harder. So I think this is something I'm really proud of. The second thing is really being part of bringing Inspiring Girls to Singapore. And Inspiring Girls, if you don't know the organization, it was the organization behind the hashtag This Little Girl Is Me. And we ran that last year in the run up to International Day of the Girl, which happens on the 11th of October. And so in that run up, we were talking about the stories that we would tell our younger self. And women were posting photos of themselves as little girls and as themselves today, and what was some of the stories that we need to tell ourselves for us and for our children and for the generations to come. And one of the stories I tell is often around my hair, and it's really silly, but this is my natural hair. This is what it looks like. It's always wild, it's always curly, it's always been like this. But I grew up in Singapore, and in Singapore everybody has straight, shiny black hair. I do not, obviously, looking at me, have straight, shiny black hair. It never looked like that. And I went to school amongst Chinese children where I was the only Indian child, ethnically Indian child. And I was the only one who looked like this, with hair like this. And the teachers in school called my parents in to say that I could not go to school looking like this. It was not allowed, it was not appropriate, it was not suitable for school. So my entire time at school, I was taught the way I looked naturally was wrong. And so I did that. I straightened my hair when I grew up. I helped put my hair into little braids and everything I could do to retrain it from being what it naturally was. And part of me accepting who I am today was when I accepted that this is what I look like. My hair is this color, my skin is this color. It's just the way it is. And accepting that is a huge part of us finding our feet in the world. So that was one of the stories I told. So courage and pride comes from, I think, sometimes we have to accept it in ourselves. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer that question.
That was amazing. Yeah, and it's like leading by example. And I know I have a daughter. It's not really impressed. It's not easy to impress the kids who are in university. So yeah, you really got to show them. Thanks. Nilofer, what are your thoughts?
Um, so I think probably the thing that I stick by, or the thing that I'm proud of, is my last job. I was well, not my last job, but actually the fact that I actually lost that job. So just before the pandemic as well. So I was chief operating officer for Scale Up, and I stood up to bullying in the organization. I stood up to quite a bit of the different culture that comes in a male-dominated organization, particularly a tech scale-up. And I stuck to my guns and my values and my leadership style, which I was informed was not a good fit for the organization. Being empathetic, being a bit of a servant leader, and I actually lost the job as a result. And I took the decision to not shy behind that. I actually very publicly announced that I had been let go and the reasons why I had been let go, because I decided that I was not ashamed of losing a job where I had stuck by my values. As Priyanka Dee very clearly said, I stuck by my values, and I wasn't ashamed of it. And I realized that the stigma that comes from losing your job is not something women should have to suffer alone. And so I put my story out there, very publicly announced that I had been let go. And I also announced that then I was trying to going to do it my way and create a tech organization which was inclusive, not just in name, but in actual action. And I invited anyone who wanted to join me to come and join me if they wanted to help me to build an organization where we felt included and felt like we belonged. So I'm proud that I didn't shy behind it, and I created room for myself and for others like me to openly say you can stand by your values and don't claim something as a value unless you're ready to risk everything for it. And I'm proud of that, and I hope my kids are young. They do like it when I put on lipstick and a big skirt, but I hope as they grow older they can see that, as Zainab has said, you can take baby steps and they can have a big impact, and that's what it's going to change. That's what's going to take for us to create a better world. So talking about also a little bit in the vein of what Lavinia said, I have two kids. One is olive skin with brown hair, and one is white and blonde. My husband is Scandinavian. So my kids often, at least my younger one, who doesn't look like me, and I often get asked when I'm out with him if I am his nanny. I find that quite hurtful, but I've come to accept the fact. But the reason I find it hurtful is I don't want my son growing up thinking that we don't belong together just because we look so different. And I know both my kids will go through life with very different experiences just because they look different. And I realize the difficulties that they will face as a result. But it's also an incredible privilege and an incredible opportunity because I have this very diverse multicultural household. And as much as I know it's going to be a challenge for them, it's an incredible opportunity for me to show them all the things that they should be proud of, including their very mixed heritage. So I hope one day, Lavinia, I can come back and tell you that my grown kids are proud of me. That's going to be my goal now. For now, a pretty skirt and lipstick gets me very far. Thank you, Payal. Thanks a lot.
Sure, I'm sure they're going to be proud of you. So let's hear from Zainab.
I can say I'm proud of every decision that I've made so far, because these decisions are building who I am right now. I for sure I made mistakes, I made bad decisions, but if I didn't make those decisions, I wouldn't be the person who I am right now. So in that sense, I'm proud of what I did. But the most thing that I'm proud of, and I wasn't realizing this like 5 years ago, or when I came to the Netherlands, is that I left my country when I was 23 years old, and I'm 33 now. And at that time, I think it was, I'm proud of myself at that time that I didn't got scared of all these things that I had to, all these scary things, that I would see. It was the first time I was leaving my country, I was leaving my family, and I came to a somehow unknown world, and I learned how to be independent. I think that's and building a life here, making a life from the scratch. I think this is something that I'm proud of, and I will be. I think this is the most courageous things I've done in my life.
Wish you all the best, and I'm sure you'll
So
do
will your
great.
daughter, Zainab. So will your daughter.
So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, very similar to Zainab. The 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 decision I am the proudest of is moving to London on my own, on my terms, to follow my dreams. It was something that I wanted to do for a long time, and I had, full-time job, bought a flat in Paris. But then I decided that, it was time, so I just did it on my own. Never regretted it.
Thanks for answering that. The International Women's Day 2022 campaign theme is Break the Bias. A world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where differences is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. Individually, we are responsible for our own thoughts and actions. All day, every day. Collectively, we can all break the bias. We are unable to change the world other people behave. But if we are able to consciously break our bias and lead by example, my last question to you all is how can you all help break the bias? And if we can start with you, Priyankadi.
I think the best way would be let's start with our homes. You know, that maid who comes to work, uh, the housekeeping staff, because the society you stay. So I think these are smaller steps. Uh, if as an individual I am being able to be kinder to them, irrespective of the caste, creed, because it's terrifying when I see around and I see how divided suddenly the society has become. I don't remember society being so divided ever. From since my school days, and I'm 49, I'll be 50 next year. So it's alarming. I think uh, the best way to break the bias for me, Payal, would be that you start from your surroundings. So lift that individual, pay more attention to the underprivileged, probably your neighbor. Friend needs your help, so just stand next to her, tell her how can you be part of any decisions she's wanting to take, probably some family not supporting. So I think that's the best way. We start with our near and dear ones. Thank you so much.
Nilufer had to drop because her kids were demanding attention. uh, thanks for answering that, Dee. Lavinia, let's go with you. How can you help break the bias?
I think this year, one of the things that has become very clear to me is we need to stop demanding that women fix a system that we did not create. And we need to stop trying to fix women and perhaps start looking at systems instead. I've been doing this work for a long time, and it's constantly we're asking women to make the changes. We're asking women to fix the problems. We're asking them to do something that is systemically impossible for them to do. So what I'd like to do is to see a year in which we really just stop blaming women. It is not a woman who walked down the road alone at night. It is never her fault. It is not for the single woman in her leadership role at her company to make the change that makes it possible for everyone to come after her. We need to do so much more on a systemic level to create change and not demand it constantly of single women without any possibility that they can be successful to do that. So I think I'd like to see that definitely much more systemic change, and not just constantly asking women that we need to step up, that we need to do this, that women need to be more confident, women need to do all of these things. that are not intrinsically going to change anything without systemic change.
I do agree with you. I do agree. Women in corporates, I've seen they're usually launched for failures. If I see usually in my day-to-day work and in the firms I've worked, this is not working. Let's give it to a woman to lead, and that's what my experience has always been. And I've seen this by happening with me, others, and once it's working, it's fine. I think they are the guys. So yeah, I do agree. I would want to ask Sangeeta, what are your views about it?
I think I would go back to what Priyanka said, right? If you have to, break the bias, it should start at home, at your surrounding, and it should start first with yourself. I think first, let us not compromise on our desires, on our ambitions, on what we think is right. Let's make our decisions by ourselves. I think that a lot of time, women, we tend to compromise because of family, because of culture, tradition, whatnot, right? So first thing will be like, hey, just be yourself. Make your own decisions, right, wrong, good, bad, who cares, as long as you are making your own decisions. I think that's the first thing that we should do. And then, of course, educating the same back in your family and your friends, and enabling them to make their decisions more strongly. I think the first step of breaking barrier is definitely there. But then I also want to highlight one thing, right? We talk about women empowerment, we talk about equality, and we talk about feminism, right? A lot of time, what we try to do is like, okay, we try to give some different kind of privilege to women, or we try to treat women in a special way. I don't think that is required. It's just treat us in the same way as you would treat a man, right? I think as long till the time we are trying to treat women in a special way, even if we are calling it empowerment, even if we are calling it, hey, let's celebrate Women's Day or whatever you want to name, right? The if we are being treated special in any way, that means we are not being considered equal. So I think that is very important to understand. Like, we don't need any privilege. We don't need any different rules. Everything, if we can treat man and women equal, I think a lot of this biasness will, break by itself. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
True. So, what are your thoughts? I think we're really off time.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
I should have blocked one out. It's my fault.
So for me, it's realizing that each of us in different context or capacity, we're able to use our voice and privilege to call out bias in real time when it happens, and we can lead by example. And one of the example is, in the hybrid world and the new etiquette, where you think of the experience of people who are now sitting all together around the table and are sitting alone in front of their computer. So one of these new etiquette being to, small things, just everyone being on their laptop, so that the people who are alone at home joining remotely don't feel excluded, right? And for me, that's how you can, we talked about baby step. Being an inclusive leader is also how you break the bias, making sure that all the voices in a group are heard, whether it's the introvert or the silent genius in the corner.
Right. It's really been a pleasure hosting you all today, as usual. A great learning experience for me. And as I always say, I derive all my energy by talking to all wonderful women. And this is how I feed myself, because it's such energy level around that somebody did ask me one day, why do you do all these panels, right? Why all these talks? And I said, it gives me energy, it energizes me, so it's for me. But definitely, I'm sure anybody who listens to this, or the audience, I'm sure they're going to get benefited out of your thoughts and the way you have paved your career, and the way how you think. So I'm sure anybody watching this is going to have a great learning out of it. And I would just close this by a thought: you should never let your fears prevent you from doing what you know is right. And I would really like to thank all of you to join me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Payal.
Thank you, Payal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you.
Thank you.